They kicked me out over my sister's pregnancy, now they want me back. When I think back to that fateful night, I still feel the sting of betrayal. It was a rainy Wednesday when my world turned upside down. My sister, Lila, had just turned 18 and was preparing for a future that, in my eyes, looked so bright. But then came the news that shattered everything. I had just returned home from college, eager to catch up with my family over dinner. The atmosphere was typical, light banter and shared plans for the upcoming summer. But then Lila cleared her throat, her voice barely rising above the clatter of dishes. "I'm pregnant." Silence engulfed the room. My heart sank as I looked from Lila to our parents, who were suddenly devoid of their usual warmth. "What do you mean, pregnant?" Mom asked, her voice sharp. How could this happen? The questions and accusations came pouring out. Lila, in shock but resolute, tried to explain her feelings about keeping the baby, but our parents were furious. "You're too young. You can't throw your life away like this." Dad shouted, his face flushed with anger. I felt a surge of protectiveness over my sister. She's made her choice. You can't just berate her like this. It's her life. I shouted back, feeling the heat rise in my cheeks. That was when everything changed. Mom glared at me as if I had just committed the ultimate betrayal. "If you can't support your sister, then maybe you don't belong in this family." I still remember the feeling of disbelief washing over me. How could they see me as the enemy? I grabbed a backpack, stuffed a few clothes inside, and walked out into the pouring rain. The door slammed behind me, and I felt as if my heart had shattered with it. The first few weeks after leaving home were a blur. I found a tiny apartment near my college and got a part-time job at a local bookstore. My friends were my lifeline, offering sympathy and distraction, but I felt the weight of loneliness pressing down on me. Lila's pregnancy news rippled through my social circles. Some friends were supportive, others were skeptical. I didn't know how to feel about my sister's decision. Part of me wanted to be there for her, but the other part resented my parents for how they had handled the situation, and for pushing me out. Months passed, and I watched Lila's life unfold from a distance, her baby bump growing more pronounced with each social media post. I felt both pride and anger. She was living a life I couldn't be part of. I wanted to reach out, to tell her I loved her and that I was still here, but the wall between us felt insurmountable. Then Noah was born. I saw the photos flood my feed, a perfect, beautiful baby. Lila looked radiant, surrounded by our parents, who were beaming with pride. It stung. I felt like a ghost, invisible and irrelevant. I tried to bury myself in work and writing, but the longing for my sister and the ache of rejection lingered like a shadow. One chilly evening, almost a year after I had left, I received a message from Mom. "Can we talk? We want to mend things." My heart raced. The idea of seeing them again felt like opening an old wound. After days of deliberation, I agreed to meet at a cafe halfway between our homes. As I walked in, I spotted them sitting at a small table, looking older and more worn than I remembered. Mom's eyes were red, and Dad's face held an expression of regret that made my stomach churn. "Thank you for coming," Mom started, her voice shaky. "We've missed you so much." "Have you?" I shot back, crossing my arms defensively. "You kicked me out without a second thought. You made me feel like a burden." Dad cleared his throat, his expression pained. "We were scared. Lila's situation was overwhelming, and we didn't handle it well." "Scared?" I echoed incredulously. "You acted like I was the enemy." "I was trying to support Lila." Mom reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "You can't just pretend the last year didn't happen. I lost my family that night. We were wrong. We realize that now," Dad said, his voice filled with remorse. "Lila needs you. We need you. Can't we try to start over?" I felt my heart waver, caught in a storm of emotions. I wanted to forgive them, but the pain was still fresh. "What do you want from me?" I asked, my voice quieter now. "To understand. To heal," Mom pleaded. "Lila has been through so much, and we need our family back together." As the weeks passed, I struggled with their request. I spent countless hours pondering the complexities of family, the tangled web of love and hurt. Each day, I felt the pull to reconnect with Lila, but the thought of facing my parents left me unsettled. One evening, I decided to visit Lila. I hadn't seen her in nearly a year, and Noah was growing up without me. My heart raced as I approached their house, the familiar sight invoking a mix of nostalgia and dread. When Lila opened the door, I was taken aback by how much she had changed. She held Noah in her arms, and her face lit up with a smile that made everything feel a little better. "Mia," she exclaimed, pulling me into a tight embrace. "I missed you," I whispered, tears welling in my eyes. I could feel the bond we shared flooding back, but the shadow of our parents loomed large. Lila showed me around the house, and I could see the joy in her eyes as she spoke about motherhood. She introduced me to Noah, and my heart melted as I held him for the first time. I realized how much I had missed this connection, this family, despite the chaos. But the joy was short-lived. "Mom and Dad miss you," Lila said tentatively as we sat down for coffee. "They want to make things right." I sighed, feeling the weight of the past press down on me. "I don't know if I can forgive them, Lila. They hurt me. They made me feel unwanted." "I understand," she replied, her expression earnest. "But I need you in my life. Noah needs his aunt." Her words struck a chord deep within me. I wanted to be there for her, for Noah, but the wounds were still raw. "It's complicated," I said, my voice breaking. "I just don't know how to move past it." Over the next few weeks, I made an effort to visit Lila and Noah more frequently. Each visit chipped away at the walls I had built around my heart. I felt the warmth of family creeping back into my life, but I was still hesitant about my parents. Finally, I decided to confront them again. One Sunday afternoon, I called Mom and invited her to meet me at the same cafe where we had first talked. When she arrived, her eyes widened with a mix of hope and apprehension. "Mia," she began, "I know I hurt you deeply, and I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I want you to know I'm here, willing to listen." I took a deep breath, the air heavy with unspoken words. "It's not just about me, Mom. You made me feel like I didn't matter, like my feelings didn't count. I don't want to go back to that." Tears filled her eyes as she nodded. "I understand. I was overwhelmed, and I took it out on you. But we can't move forward without talking about the past." For the first time, I saw vulnerability in her eyes, a willingness to face the consequences of her actions. "I need you to understand that family means supporting each other, even when it's hard," I said. "You made a choice, and I was the one who got hurt." "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I want to do better. I want you back in our lives." In the months that followed, my relationship with my family slowly began to heal. It was far from perfect, but we were learning to communicate. I spent more time with Lila and Noah, and my bond with them deepened. I even started to see my parents more regularly, attending family dinners that felt tentative yet hopeful. The road to forgiveness was long, but I began to realize that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means acknowledging the pain, accepting the past, and taking steps toward a new future. Each visit with Noah filled my heart with joy, and I knew I wanted to be a part of his life. I also found solace in writing, channeling my experiences into stories that explored the complexities of family and the struggles of forgiveness. My heart, once heavy with hurt, began to feel lighter as I embraced the love that still existed beneath the scars. One evening, as I sat on my balcony watching the sunset, I received a message from Lila: "Noah misses his aunt. Can you come over?" I smiled, feeling a warmth spread through me. I had moved on, but I hadn't moved away. My family was imperfect, but so was life, and I was learning to navigate it all with newfound strength and understanding.